My name is Gabriel Lerma, and it was about a year ago when I was first approached to be a section leader. And at that moment, I had no interest at all, no interest whatsoever for my own reasons. But people kept on asking me to, and I was in a season where I was listening to a lot of lies that I was telling myself that I wasn't good enough, that I wasn't talented enough, I didn't have the gifts needed to be a section leader. I wasn't that A-type sort of strong and bold leader. But one time I was in a small group, and one of my good friends, he basically said, "Look, your best bet in being fully Gabe Lerma at Willow Creek Community Church is to be a section leader." And for whatever reason, I was humbled in that moment, and I said yes. I was like, okay, I'll do whatever I can to take that next step. And so I started having these meetings, and people were really excited for me to come on. But still, those lies were pretty strong. You're not good enough. You're not smart enough. You don't speak well enough. But I continued to go through the application process and eventually became a section leader. And God was able to, after I said yes, was really able to attract a lot of amazing people, a lot of great leaders, and He surrounded me with them. And not only with their gifts and their skills, but also with their love. And so I remember this moment, and it's the only God moment that comes to mind when it comes to leading a community. It was during a weekend service, and just looking at the section, some seats were empty, but I wasn't distracted by those empty seats. All I saw were people, and people that mattered to God. And so at that point in time, a lot of cool things were happening in our community, things that only God was responsible for. And just standing in the back of the section, just overwhelmed by joy. Overwhelmed by joy. Those whispers, those lies were still there, but they weren't nearly as loud as what God was telling me in that moment. And what He was telling me is that you're enough, you are loved. You and your imperfect self has what it takes. I heard Him saying, you are fully equipped to do what I've called you to do, and you can trust me. And so in that moment, again, just looking over the section, was just very, very overwhelmed by joy and emotion, and felt so loved by God that He would use a broken person like me, who sometimes gets lost in these messages that I'm constantly hearing. And so He's entrusted me with a community, and He's allowed me to love them the way that He's wired me to, and that He's called me to. And so my only God moment is basically just remembering that He uses broken people, and He uses me, and He's used me to build a thriving community.